And welcome back to the second part of this mathematics presentation. We have the last four study units to go through, and we start with the algebra. Now, algebra is very important that you know the previous knowledge that you have studied during the first and second year, because all of that is going to be applied and going to be taken further. So very important to go through your previous algebra work. And this is what I'm saying there, all the previous knowledge you have to know about collect like terms, to remove brackets, to solve equations, to manipulate normal fractions, adding, subtraction, multiply, division of normal fractions, because now we're going to do the algebra fractions. And you need to know factorizing, because the factorizing is applied in the algebra fractions. So these 5 points are your previous knowledge that you need to know. I'm going to help you a bit and give you some examples of it so that you can see what you should know first before we can go on to fractions. Collect like terms. You need to know how to add like terms and what like terms are. You can only add a's to a's and b's to b's and x's to x's, etc. and x squares to x squares. And you can't add different kinds, only add the same kind. And if you have to add positive and negative numbers, remember, it helps if you imagine yourself. If you've got a positive number, you have money in your pocket. If you've got a negative number, you owe somebody. So if you look at that number 1, 2a minus 7a, you have $2 in your pocket, you owe $7. So I pay the 2. What have I left? Do I have money in my pocket? No, I still owe 5. So the answer is minus 5a. And remember, the kind stays the same. Apples plus apples stays apples. A plus A stays A. The kind stays the same. Minus 5b plus 2b. Again, I have 2 in my pocket and I owe 5. So I take the 2, pay it, but I still owe 3. So that's why the answer is minus 3b. Then remove brackets. You need to know that. Remember, you multiply the number in front with each and every term inside the bracket. 3 times m gives 3m. 3 times 9 gives 9. Then minus 2 times 3m gives minus 6m. And minus 2 times minus 1 gives plus 2. Now I add like terms. 3m minus 6m. Again, I have 3. I owe 6. I pay the 3. I still owe 3. 9 plus 2, 11. There's your final answer. Solving equations, you apply also your previous knowledge. You have a left and a right side, and remember, what you do to the left side, you do to the right side. First of all, remove all the brackets. Multiply the 3 times 2a, 3 times minus 6. 4 times a, 4 times minus 7. 5 times 3a, 5 times 9. And you can see that the 1 is just single on its own, nothing to do with the bracket. Now, first I add the like terms on the left. 6a plus 4a is 10a. 18 minus 28. I owe 18, but I owe another person 28. So together I owe 46. That's why minus 46. Then 15a doesn't have another term to add to, and the 45 plus 1 is 46. Now I've got a's on the left and a's on the right. I've got numbers on the left and numbers on the right. I get all the a's to the left. I get the a's away at the right. How do I get 15a away? I subtract it. So if I subtract it, it's gone on the right, but it's on the left, minus 15a. Now the 46, minus 46 on the left. How do I get rid of minus? I add 46. So if I add 46 on the left, it's gone. Then I add 46 on the right, and there it is. So I add the a's, 10 minus 15, have 10, owe 15, pay the 10, still owe 5. Minus 5a is 92. Now I have to get the a alone. So this is not adding, it's now multiplication. I multiplied the minus 5 with the a. Minus 5 times a. So I divide with minus 5 on the left. I divide with minus 5 on the right. On the left it cancels. On the right I've got 92 on minus 5. And always give your answer as a mixed number. 5 goes into 92 18 times. 18 times 5 is 90. So there's 2 left. 2 what? 2/5. Minus 18 and 2/5. Fractions, you have to be able to do normal number fractions before you can do algebra fractions. You have to know that division becomes multiplication and you invert the one after the division. 2 and 2/3, 2 times 3 is 6 plus 2 is 8 on 3. Make it an improper fraction. 3 and 3/7, 3 times 7 is 21 plus the 3, 24 on 7. The division becomes multiplication and the 24 on 7 becomes 7 on 24. Now I can cancel. I can divide with 8 on top and I divide with 8 at the bottom. 8 goes into himself 8 once. 8 goes into 24 3 times. So on top I've got 1 times 7, which is 7. At the bottom 3 times 3, which is 9. Final answer. Again, when I must add and subtract, I must get them the same kind. That's where if I have fifths and thirds, I must make them the same kind. 3 and 2/5. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2, 17 on 5. 1 and a third, 1 times 3 plus 1 is 4 on 3. Now I've got 5/5 and thirds. I make it the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3. How do I get that? If you don't know, start with the biggest one, 5. Count in 5s until you reach a number that the 3 can also divide into. So I count 5, 10, 15, etc. 5, the 3 can't go into 5. 10, 3 can't go into 10. 15, yes, 3 can go in 15, so I choose 15 is my lowest common multiple. Now I look at the bottom. What did I do to the 5 to get 15? I times with 3. So the 17 must also be times with 3 to get 51. Now I forget that and I look at the 3 at the bottom. What did I multiply the 3 with to get the 15? With 5. So the 4 I times with 5. Therefore, 51 plus 20, 71 on 15. Take out whole ones. 15 goes into 71 4 times. 4 times 15 is 60. How many left? 11. 11 what? 11 15ths. Then you also need to know the 3 different kinds of factorizing, actually 4. The trinomial is the last one. Common factor, grouping, difference between 2 squares. Common factor, you just take out what can divide into both numbers. What can divide into 6 and 8? 2. What can divide into a squared and 8? A. So I divide with the 2a. Put it in front, put a bracket. So 6a squared divided by 2a is 3a. Minus 8 divided by 2 is minus 4. A divided by a is 1. Remember, it cancels. A on a. You cancel it, but the answer is 1. So the answer in this case is just 4, minus 4. The next one is grouping. There we have to make groups because there is no common factor in all 4 of them. There's not an A in all 4 of them. There's not a C in all 4 of them. There's not a B in all 4 of them. So I group the first two terms in one bracket. Then I group the next 2 terms in one bracket. Now a very big fact. If I put a negative, if I put a bracket after a negative, then the sign inside the bracket changes. I repeat that. If I put a bracket after a negative, then the sign inside the bracket changes. I've got minus 2bc minus 6b squared, and I want to put the bracket before the 2. So I put the bracket after the negative. So what happens? The minus 6b squared becomes plus 6b squared. Now I look at the 2 brackets. In the first bracket, I can take out a common factor a. Take out the a. AC divided by a is c in the bracket. 3ab divided by the a is 3b in the bracket. So that's done with the first bracket. Now I look at the second bracket. What can I take out from both? What can divide into the 2bc and the 6b squared? 2b. So I divide 2bc by 2b and I only get c in the bracket. And plus 6 divided by minus 2. Plus 6 divided by minus 2 gives me, the 6 divided by 2 is 3, and the b squared divided by b is b, and the plus stays plus. I've already changed it, and the plus stays plus. Now I look at the two brackets. C plus 3b is the same bracket in both the first term and the second term. So I take out that whole bracket as a common factor, c plus 3b. Then I put the second bracket is then the a, what's left in the first term, minus 2b, what's left in the second term. So then those two brackets are my final answer. If I multiply them out again, you will see I get the 4 terms. You don't have to do it, but just let's check it. We multiply the c with the second bracket. C times a is AC, like in my first step, right on top. C, and then c times minus 2b gives me minus 2bc, which is the third term there on top, minus 2bc. Then if I multiply the 3b with the a, then I get 3ab, the second term on top. And when I multiply the plus 3 with the minus 2b, I get minus 6b squared. Can you see if I multiply the two brackets out, I get the top again. You can always test your answer like that. Then we get to difference between two squares. You have to check whether all of it is, each and every one is a square. 16 is a square. A square is a square. 16 is 4 square, of course. 4 is a square. 4 is 2 square. b to the 4 is a square. b squared times b squared is b to the 4. And 9 is a square. So I'm satisfied now. Everything, both the first and the second term, they are all squares. So what happens? Two brackets, one with a plus, one with a minus. Square root of 16 is 4. A squared, square root of a squared is a. So my first term in both brackets, 4a. The plus and the minus is already there. One is a plus, one is a minus. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of b to the 4 is b squared. On square root of 9 is 3. So you take them one by one. Top, bottom. Square root of the top, square root of the bottom. Answer stays top and bottom. So that's your final answer for the difference between two squares. Quadratic expressions, the trinomials, we have the simple ones, which doesn't have a number or a coefficient in front of the square, like the b squared plus 7b plus 12. That you can do mentally. You only look at the 12 and you ask yourself, you read from the back, what times what is 12? If I add it, because before the 12 is a plus, if I add it, I get 7. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. If I add it, I get 7. So it's b plus 3 and b plus 4. The 4 times 3 gives 12 and the 4 plus 3 gives 7. But when it's 6, when there's a coefficient in front of the square, I have to use another method. 6a squared minus 2a minus 8. Now that 6 and the 8, I need to write down the factors of the 6. There I've got it vertically, 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6 vertically. Then the 8, the factors of the 8, 2 times 4 is 8. So there I've got the numbers. Now I multiply crosswise and I put the answer next to the second column. Next to 2 times minus 4. So next to the minus 4, I write the minus 8. and 3 times 2 is 6. First I put only 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6. Now I look, how will I get minus 2? Because my middle term is minus 2. Not by putting a minus 6 plus 8. That will give me plus 2. I must put plus 6 minus 8. Now the plus 6 next to the 6, next to that you put the plus. Next to the minus 8 you put the minus. And that's your two brackets. 2a plus 2 and 3a minus 4. So that takes care of the 4 different kinds of factorizing. Because you're going to apply this in fractions. Now we can get to fractions. Now if we look at the next one, the next slide. Simplify algebra fractions. First of all, you look at the top, you look at the bottom, and you see first, can I factorize? Now go through all 4 steps. Is there a common factor? Is there a difference between 2 squares? Is there perhaps brackets that I must group, do grouping? Or is there a trinomial? So start with common factor and check them out. Let's look at the first one on top. There's 3ax squared minus 6ax. I see very quickly 3 can go into both terms, a can go into both terms, and x. So take out the 3ax. Then I divide 3ax squared by 3ax, and there's only a x left inside the bracket. Then minus 6ax divided by 3ax gives me only minus 2. ax divided by ax, remember, is 1. Therefore, my top is factorized. Look at the bottom. Is there a common factor? No. Is there grouping involved? No. Is there a difference between 2 squares? Yes. X squared is a square and 4 is a square. So put 2 brackets, one with a plus, one with a minus. X plus 2 and x minus 2. Now I look at the whole thing and I see that I can cancel the top bracket x minus 2 with the bottom bracket x minus 2, and what is left? The 3x on top and the x plus 2 at the bottom. Number 2, there is now subtraction, where we have to get common multiple, the lowest common multiple. But first we have to simplify. We have to factorize if there's any factors, any factorizing that can be done. The x on top, there's nothing, it's already in simplest form. The 4x squared minus 9 at the bottom, that is difference between 2 squares. 2 brackets, 2x plus 3, 2x minus 3. Then the next one is 2x minus 3. That 5 on top, just leave that 5 there. In the first step, just put a 5 on top. I made a mistake there. There's a 5 on top. You can just add the 5 there at the top instead of the 1. The rest is fine. So if you look at the lowest common multiple of that, look at the first term. There's a 2x minus 3 and a 2x plus 3. At the second term, there's only a 2x minus 3. So we need all kinds. We need the whole thing, 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 3. But the second term, there's a 2x plus 3 missing at the bottom. That means I must multiply the top also with 2x plus 3, because the 2x minus 3 is already there. I always say, easy way to talk to yourself. You say, what is missing at the bottom, you multiply on top. Okay? What's missing at the bottom, you multiply on top. So if we look again, the first term, there's nothing missing at the bottom. We've got the whole common denominator. Then I look at the second term. There's a 2x plus 3 missing. So I multiply the top, which is 5, times the 2x plus 3. Okay. Now I have to multiply the bracket out, and remember the x. The first x, it's got nothing to do with the bracket. That's on its own single, there it is. It stays like that. Then you multiply the minus 5 times 2 is minus 10x, and the minus 5 times plus 3 is minus 15. So my answer on top is x minus 10x minus 15. But there's like terms. The x and the minus 10x can be added, gives you minus 9x minus 15. Remember, nothing can cancel. You can only cancel a whole bracket with a whole bracket, not single things. So that's your final answer. Please go through the other examples, learning activity number 27 and 28. There's really good examples, and if you've mastered them, there will be no problem in the exam. Then to solve linear equations, let's first look at simple fractions, simple ones, and then we go to the more complicated ones. Again, just like equations, what you do the left side, you do the right side. But where you have fractions, you first have to get the lowest common multiple of all of them, all the fractions. Then you have to get rid of the fractions. So let's go step by step. 3x on 5, right, it stays 3x on 5. Plus 2 and a third, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7 on 3. Equals x on 5 stays x on 5, 2 on 15 stays 2 on 15. Now I look at the bottom, a 5, a 3, a 5, and a 15. What is the lowest common multiple of 5, 3, 5, 15, which is 15? Now I look, remember, what is missing at the bottom, I multiply on top. There's a 5. How did I get from the 5 to the 15? Times 3. 3x times 3 also. Then the 7 on 3, how did I get from the 3 to the 15? Times 5. So the 7 also times 5. The right side, x on 5, how do I get from the 5 to the 15? Times 3. The top also times 3, 3x. The bottom, 2 15s, it's already on 15, so nothing changes. It stays minus 2. Now, I've got 15 both sides at the bottom. What is easier than just multiply 15 left and multiply 15 right, and the 15s cancel, then the 15s are gone. So the moment your denominator is the same left and right, you can actually leave it out because you multiply it away. Now I've got 9x plus 35 and 3x minus 2. I want the x's alone on the left. There's a 3x on the right. How do I get rid of it? Minus 3x. But I must minus 3x at the left. 9x minus 3x is the 6x. I've got a minus 2. And remember, don't forget the minus, it's minus 2. Then on the left, I've got plus 35. I subtract it on the left, then I must subtract it on the right. So I've got minus 35 also. Add the like terms, 9x minus 3x is 6x. Minus 2 minus 35 is minus 37. Get rid of the 6. I divide by 6, both sides. So minus 37 divided by 6 gives me minus 6 and a 6. That's your final answer. Always give your answer as a mixed number. It's always best. Ne? Mixed number as a fraction. Never ever go to decimals. Don't ever put your answer in a decimal. You work with fractions and you stay with fractions. Either improper, it will be marked correctly only if I say in the question, give your answer as a mixed number. Then you must give it as a mixed number. Then you will lose a mark if you don't do that. Learning activity number 29, very good examples. If you mastered that, you will have no problems further. Now let's look at word problems. And it's not difficult. Everybody thinks, oh, word problems, it's so complicated, I can't do it. No, you just read it step by step. Never read the whole thing and then think, what must I do? Read it step by step. 3 angles of a triangle. Okay, you imagine yourself. You can even draw a sketch. Let's make a sketch. I just read the first few words. There's a triangle. 3 angles of a triangle. There's my triangle. I've got 3 angles. 1, 2, 3. What do they say further? Is. 3 angles of a triangle is x. That's my 1. Comma. X plus 20. That's the next one. and x minus 50. There's my triangle. And I know 3 angles of a triangle add up to 180. So I write down my equation, the first angle plus the second angle plus the third angle. The 3 angles of a triangle added together gives me 180 degrees. Now I add like terms. X plus x plus x, of course it's 3x. And I add the numbers. 20 plus 50 is, 20 minus 50. So I have 20 and I subtract 50. I owe 50, only have 20, so I still owe 30. I've added the like terms. Now I want x. I want x alone in the end here, only x. So first of all, I get rid of the minus 30. How do I get rid of minus 30? Plus 30 this side, plus 30 that side. So here it's gone, minus 30 plus 30, just the 3x. And there I've got 180 plus 30, which gives me 210. Now I'm there. Now I want x alone. So I divide by 3 both sides, divide by 3, and I've got 70 degrees. Now, I didn't read further. I just read the 3 angles of a triangle and I solved x. What did the question say? Find x. I found x. This is, I've got it. Find x. And read the question and write down the value of the biggest angle. Okay, now I must check. X is 70. X is 70. X plus 20, that's my second angle. So it's 70 plus 20, which is 90. X minus 50, which is 70 minus 50 is 20. So here's my 3 angles. But what did the question ask? Only the biggest angle. So I will say biggest angle equals 90 degrees. Don't write all 3 angles. You can work it out and show the working, just like I did here. But the biggest angle is your answer because that's what was asked. Learning activity number 30 will give you some more examples. So we get to study unit 6 now, the straight line. And the straight line, standard form, standard equation, y is mx plus c. M is the gradient, c is the y-intercept. Gradient means the steepness of the line. Now if you have y is mx plus c, there's an example, y is 3x minus 2. To complete your table, you substitute the x into the place of x. Like I show you there. Y equals 3 bracket minus 2. What goes in the bracket? The minus 2, which is in the table there. And the next one, the 1 goes. 3 bracket minus 2, the 1 goes in there. 3 bracket minus 2, 3 times 2. And the last one, the 3 goes in there. And you work that out so you get the y. Now what does it mean? The x value of the coordinate is minus 2, the y value is minus 8. The x value is minus 1, the y value is minus 5. That one is given to you. The one that is asked, where y is 1, x is 1, y is 1, so the coordinates is 1, semicolon 1. That's the coordinates which you have to plot. 2 minus 2, 4. X is 2, y is 4, and the 3, 7. So if we go to the Cartesian coordinate plane, straight line graph, we have the x-axis and the y-axis. We plot those points. If we see, we have to plot minus 2, minus 8. Look, we've got minus 2 on the x-axis. You go 2 to the left from the origin and 8 down. So there's my point. Do you see the cross? Minus 2, minus 8. The next one, minus 1, minus 5. minus 1 minus 5, it's actually given to you. And if you only use the points given to you, you will also get the correct straight line. Even if some of your table is wrong, then you will lose those marks, but you will get the straight line correct if you plot the points that they give you already. Can you see? If I look at the table again, the minus 1 minus 5 is given, and the 0 minus 2 is given. So if I only plot those 2 points, I can actually draw the straight line. But there's all the points, all the coordinates, nicely plotted, and you draw the straight line through it. Now a straight line, also, if I give you the gradient and I give you the y-intercept, you can just write down. You don't have to work out anything. You just write down the equation of the straight line. Y is mx plus c. Okay, question. The gradient of a straight line is 2 and the y-intercept is minus 3. Write down the equation of the straight line. Y equals, the gradient is 2, 2x. Y-intercept is minus 3, minus 3. mx minus 3, 2x minus 3. If I say the gradient of a straight line is 1 and the y-intercept is 0, write down the equation of the straight line. Remember, if the y-intercept is 0, then you don't have to write the 0 there, although you can. Y equals 1x plus 0. So we leave out the 0, and we also don't write the 1. So in this case, the answer is just y equals x. Can you see how we work with if the y-intercept is 0, we actually just leave it out. If I give you then, say y equals 3x, then you know the y-intercept is 0, and I can already make my first cross there on the 0 on the origin. And I just work out the gradient. Okay. Now at the next unit, statistics and probability. And I think this is one of the easiest units because it's really straightforward to draw bar charts, to just put the information onto a chart. It's really, really a place where you can really get a lot of marks. Let's see. First of all, statistics, you need to know what is the mode, what is the median, what is the mean. The mode is the one the condition that occurs the most. Remember, it's not that answer of the most, it is the condition. The median is the one standing in the middle, and I have to arrange them from big to small or small to big. Usually we say small to big, but it can be big to small. I'm just interested in the middle one. The mean is the average, like you always have known average, the arithmetic average. I add them all together and divide by whatever I have, how many ever I have. And there's good examples in learning activity 35 and 36. Please see that you master them. So let's look at a question of probability. Probability must always be given as a fraction in simplest form. A bag contains 24 discs. 8 are blue, 6 are yellow, and 11 are pink. You can check. 8 and 6 is 14, plus 11 is 25. Do we have a mistake there? 8 and 6 and 11 is 25. So there's 25 discs. You have to correct this also. Please make it 25 discs and just put the fraction there. The first disc is 8 of the 25 and 6 of the 25. If it was, maybe it's easier to take away one of the discs. Let's say the 11. Let's make the 11 10. Rather keep the 24 disc and we make 10 pink. So there's 8 blue, 8 on 24, 8 blue on the total 24 is 1 on third, 1 on 3, always simplest form. Then the yellow, there's 6 yellow, 6 out of the 24 is 6 goes into 24, 1/4. You have to give it as a fraction in simplest form. Then the disc chosen is not pink. Okay, now you've changed the 11. There's 10 pink now, not 11 pink. There's 10 pink. So how many is not pink? Of course, 24 minus the 10, there's 14 pink. So just change that 14 on 25. And 2 can go into that, so 14 on 24, 24 gives you 7 on 12. So the 7 on 12 will be your final answer there. So just see that you change this question. There's 10 pink, the rest stays the same, and the last one is 14 out of 24, which gives you 7 on 12. There's also some more examples. Please go through them on the learning activity number 37. Then we get to Pythagoras and trigonometry. The theorem of Pythagoras applies only to a right angle triangle. Long side square equals the short side square plus the short side square. A squared plus B squared is C squared. Now remember, if I ask a short side, if the short side is asked, you must subtract. If we look at the sketch, the 9 and the 15 and the B squared plus 9 squared is 15 squared. So I have to subtract the 9 squared from the left side, I subtract it from the right side. So B squared is 15 squared minus 9 squared, which is 225 minus 81. And that gives me exactly 144. I didn't write it there, but 225 minus 81 gives you 144. So to get B, you have to take the square root of 144, which is then 12. And remember, your short sides must be shorter than the longer sides. And so before you even start, you know that your answer must be less than 15. So check it out. See if your answer is less than 15. And it is. So then you can be satisfied. Some more questions, some more answers, some more activities in number 39. Trigonometry also applies only to a right angle triangle, and that's why we always have trigonometry together with Pythagoras. The two goes together, and many times bearings also included into that. So find the value of theta. So if you see question 1, I ask the angle. Question 2, I give the angle and one side, and I ask the side. There must always be two things given. Either two sides, then you can work out the angle. Or I give you one angle and one side, and you can work out another angle or another side, whatever the question asks. But you need two things, two angles or an angle and a side. In the first case, I give you two sides. There's a 5 and a 10. Now I go, take yourself, imagine yourself, go and sit at theta, the angle. Go and sit there. Now you look, what do I have? Do I have opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent? Which two do I have? Remember, I sit at theta, I look across, so that's opposite. I've got the opposite side. Then the one that's not the long side. The long side is always opposite the 90. We can put in the 90 there. You can imagine the 90 there between the 5 and the 10. That's hypotenuse. No, the one touching me, that is the adjacent. The one that's not hypotenuse is the adjacent. So I've got opposite on adjacent. And I have to decide myself, what is opposite on adjacent? That is tan. So now I can write the equation. Tan of the angle is 5 on 10. And if I key in 5 on 10 on my calculator, I get 0.5. But I can straightforward key in on my calculator, shift tan, because I've got tan of the angle. To get the angle alone, I must press second function tan. So shift tan or second function tan, and then in brackets 5 divided by 10 or just comma 5. And to get the angle. Remember now to write correctly. Don't write tan angle, write the angle. Only theta is 26.565 and round it off to whatever they ask in the question. Usually we round it off to 1 decimal place, which I did in that case. 0.56 became 0.6. Then the next one, I gave you the angle and one side. Now, which side did I give you? The opposite side. Okay, I mean the hypotenuse side. I gave you hypotenuse. The y, if I sit at the 38, the y is the adjacent. So adjacent on hypotenuse. Adjacent on hypotenuse. That's cos. So I write down cos of the angle. In this case, I have the angle. Cos of the angle equals y on 12, adjacent on hypotenuse. Now, if I cross multiply, or I just multiply both sides with 12, that's actually what cross multiplying is. I times with 12, on the right it's gone. I times with 12, so y equals 12 times cos 38. Key it in on your calculator and you get 9,456, which you can round off to 9,46 if it's 2 decimal places. I rounded it off, the two different ones to the two different. So this gets us to the end of our study guide. I hope this helped, and I really pray that you will go through all the learning activities. The examples are so clear in your study guide, and the learning activities, all the answers are given to you, completely worked out. So master each and every learning activity, and then I can promise you you're going to get very, very high marks in the exam, because the exam covers all the work in your study guide. All of the best, and may God bless you.